Giorgia Meloni, who won the election in Italy, and why this is such a big deal. Because there were basically 4 specific parameters regarding the reasons why people were voting in favor of Meloni. Inflation, cost of living, immigration, and there was one other one.
Well, the nationalism is a big part of it.
Well, that's where the immigration thing comes in.
Exactly. When you said that, I'm like, well, that's a big part of it. Yeah. And that's where I start thinking, okay, that's the fascist component, is for me much more that nationalistic.
And there's also, and again, it all gets back to the universal theme, which of course is neoliberalism. If you look at these specific issues, it's all neoliberalism. And if you can't move the country in the direction that it needs to go in, which is to more of that social democracy, again, they are attached to the euro. They don't have any way of creating their own currency, which the British do, and other countries like ours do. Again, it's not a lot. This is part of the reason why Venezuela can be literally choked to death from inflation, because Venezuela has no economic sovereignty. They are attached to us.
We won't allow that. That's why we have issues with them. That's why we need to replace their leader, because we want them to stay on the petrodollar for eternity.
Now, again, neoliberalism is not as strong in Europe as it is in the US, but it's still strong through the European Union. The European Union at least has relatively livable wages. They have universal health care.
They have very strong unions.
And they have very strong unions.
They have strong unions, and they also have a whole different electoral process. Like we've talked about it before.
Parliamentary system is in it.
It's parliamentary system, but they also have much shorter election cycles. Like everything happens within 2 months, and that like their system is not set up as political theater to the extent that ours is. I'm not saying they don't have that, but it's just not the same. They also have a basic standard of living that they expect in European countries that we don't have here. They have healthcare. They have things like to most people in those nations. Yeah, healthcare is part of it. Like, so they automatically are starting out in a position that's to the left of us. Yeah. That's the thing. And so, when we're watching that, and I also don't think that when they're talking about their right-wing issues, when you talk about right-wing issues, it's different in a country like that than it is a country like this. Italy isn't imperialist and taking over the world. Italy isn't, sending, having military skirmishes all over the place and 800 bases and billions of dollars on military and weapons. So their level of nationalism and fascism isn't as threatening to the entire world as when it happens with us. It's just different. They also don't have things like, are they taking away women's rights there? I don't think that
Meloni
this is necessary.
Came out and said no, but
So when we say things like right wing and what's fascist, that's very different here.
What it is in Europe.
Correct. 100%. They don't have the evangelical Christian right that is part of their right wing. It's just different there.
So I do think that we have to be a little bit more considerate when we're talking about the specific terms regarding what this is all about. But remember, when the environment is not good, when the economy is not good, when the quality of life is not good, when you are overrun by immigration, inflation, it's everywhere. Like, what are we looking at here? We're trying to pretend like this isn't happening. It is.
And guys, if you didn't see our interview with we did 2 interviews basically covering the issue of neoliberalism and its failure in the universe. We spoke with Tom Hartman about his new book called The Hidden History of Neoliberalism in America. And we also had on author Lily Geismer, which was a great interview about her book called Left Behind, really talking about how Democrats abandoned labor and basically how neoliberalism has taken over in that party. So we're seeing it all over the world, but that's what it is.
Yeah. And again, forewarning here, because particularly when it comes to immigration, inflation, and quality of life, economic, decimation, if you will. That's how the Third Reich became a thing and took over Europe.
Yeah, I know. People think it was just overnight.
Let's just say that Jews are terrible people. No. Again, this is like, how does a strong man ever get strong? It gets strong because the system has completely failed people. If the system fails you, then it's easy to say, oh, it's just the immigrants. That's why it's happening. It's just these people. That's why it's happening. And when people are desperate, they'll cling on to whatever will ultimately give them some type of salvation, however minimal it might be. And you can easily have this here in our country. It could easily happen.
Well, we do see how we treat immigrants in this country. Are you kidding me? We're incarcerating people in facilities and profiting off of them. Now, we don't call them concentration camps. Nobody wants to call them that. And we're not labor camps by any stretch. But how we treat immigrants, how we other them, how we encourage people to kick down, that is extremely like fascist, nationalistic kind of tendency thinking. And it's coming from both sides to some extent.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
really scary, which is why our political party left-right isn't the legitimate left-right. Both of our political parties are right of center. Both of them. The Republicans are just further right, but they're both right of center. And so when I'm talking about the left, it's not Democrats or Republicans. We don't have a left party in this country.
Again, for people that try, especially on the right, to claim that they are one way politically regarding the respect for our Constitution, the Founding Fathers, it's like you spit in the face, especially of, remember, Thomas Jefferson was an atheist, and so was Ben Franklin. So were a lot of others. John Adams probably was to a degree. Now, yeah, were there religious founding fathers like George Washington and Patrick Henry? Sure. But there was no shortage of people who felt that the separation of church and state was essential to the survival of our nation. And you do have people, particularly on the political right, who think it's okay to espouse this idea of Christian nationalism. It is a form of fascism because, again, they don't want any other thought to enter anyone's mind. It is, this is who we are, and we are only this way. Whether it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lori Boebert, whoever lunatic righty you're going to throw out there that's going to be doing this is going to say it. And because there is no pushback on the left, because there is no real left, and again, left is labor, the Democratic Party is a Wall Street-owned corporate party that isn't religious crazy.
Right. And they're pro-choice. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.